Setting up your customers. After setting up you as the user correctly, setting up of your customers is probably the most important task that you need to complete well. Once again, it is worth your while spending the time to do this properly, as many features of DADIE depend on correct and complete customer setup. When you enroll for DADIE, you will be given the choice to confidentially supply Mactron systems with a spreadsheet of your customers. Mactron systems will then import your customers with their email addresses and other relevant information where possible. You may, however, want to do the initial import of your customers yourself, in which case you will be greeted with a blank customer list when you open DADIE for the first time. After logon, depending on what you chose, the customer window will either list your existing customers, as we can see here, which would be your customer list, as per your spreadsheet, supplied, or it will be blank. In our example, we already have customers loaded and customers are color-coded. In a fresh preloaded list, all the customers will have a blue background with darker blue letters. Color coding simply means the status of the customer is represented in a color. These colors may be different as part of different configurations of DADIE that you may be using. The color coincides with the status, displayed in the status column. However, the status column may not always be used, depending on the configuration of DADIE that you use. Colors will be explained in more detail in the lesson on products and orders. Opening the customer setup page. When we open the customer window, we will thus see a blank customer window, if no preload of customers were performed, and the information of the customer selected in the customers list will also be blank. By navigating around the customers list, we can see the customer detail of the selected customer, change to the one selected, each time. In either case, whether you start from a blank customer database, or a pre-populated customer database, the process of adding a customer is exactly the same. To add a customer, click on the plus, New Customer button. You will notice, a new customer has been created, but the customer only has a customer number and nothing else. If the customer is a company, you will complete the company name field. Thereafter you can optionally enter the contact person in the company, first name and surname. The company name remains the same. If any editing took place, you will notice the red block around the Save Changes button. This means that the information that you have just entered has not yet been saved to the database. By clicking on Save Changes, the red block goes away, meaning the data has been saved. We will now add another customer, to show the difference if the new customer is a private person. Again, press on plus New Customer. This time we will enter the name and surname of the customer, instead of the company name, first. When we save the changes, you will notice the company name field, automatically populated with the customer first name and surname. You can now, optionally, add a designation for the customer or contact, like Director, Sales Manager, or whatever their position. You can, optionally, add a department like Marketing or Sales. The start date over here is a record of when you registered the customer in your database. Each customer can be greeted in an email, in any way you prefer. The default is, Dear. For example, Dear Mary or Dear John. The Dear is derived with what you have put in as the default greeting during your user setup. Going back to the customer setup, you may want to address specific customers in a different or more formal way. For example, Evelyn Alexander might be a professor in marketing, so you want to address her as, Dear Professor Alexander. You now add, Dear Professor, and tick the tick box next to the Dear Professor and next to her surname. If we now go to our email page, you will see how she is addressed as we selected. You may also want to bring her first name into the greeting, so we tick her first name as well. When we now return to the email, we see her being addressed as Dear Professor Evelyn Alexander. Email. This is the email address for the customer. Alternative email. A customer may have an alternative email. This is optional, and if used, the same email as being sent to the primary email address will also be sent to the alternative email address. Downline. In a multi-level organization, if you are subscribed to the downline function, then this tick box is used to select a person in the customer list to also be part of your downline. Downline will be covered under much more detail in a separate lesson. Sub-organization. This is also an optional function that will be covered in a lot more detail in a separate lesson. However, in short, this is used when you have more than one division in your business. See also the demo video on multiple divisions in a company. Notes. Here you can type in anything you want to note about a specific customer, and not covered under any of the customer filters. Remind me on date. You can set a date to call a customer or anything else you need to remember to do for a customer on a specific date. Simply select the date you want to be reminded on, and you can put into the note what you need to do on that date for your customer. The red payment indicator here coincides with the payment due flag in the customer list. When on, it means the specific customer has an amount outstanding to you. For example, if you must call Elizabeth Atkinson on a certain date. Let's select tomorrow as example. You will notice nothing changed. However, if we selected date is today's date, you will see that the action flag has turned to red. Once you have completed the date-driven action, you can clear the action by clicking Erase Reminder. Note, the action flag has also cleared. The following 6 fields: fax number, alternative fax number, landline number, alternative landline number and alternative cell phone number are optional for each customer. Cell phone number is also optional, but if filled in will print on the customer quotations, invoices, and delivery notes. It will also be required if you select to subscribe to the optional SMS messaging system of DADIE. Street address and postal address. The street address will be printed on the customer quotations, invoices, and delivery notes. The postal address is optional and not used by the system. If you as the user is VAT registered and your customer is VAT registered, you can add the customer VAT number in here. This will be printed on the VAT invoice that DADIE will generate. It is important to note that DADIE is not an accounting system and it remains your responsibility to keep track of VAT amounts paid to you by your customers in a VAT registered scenario. Let us now look at the fixed customer statuses. Note, this is not to be confused with the dynamic customer statuses found over here. A customer can have one of 3 main statuses: future customer, active customers, shown here as customer and no longer active customers. In the case of, for example, an association or a club, the word customer can be replaced by member. Every customer can have some fixed sub-customer statuses. If the customer is a website customer, thus someone that buys from your web shop, then you can tick this tick to indicate such. In cases where the customer made the first contact with your business through your website and your website is linked to DADIE, then this tick will automatically be ticked. Customers marked here as web customers can be selected through the relationship filter. If your customer wants to be notified of special offers, you may tick here to mark such. Once again, if your website is linked to DADIE, and the website poses the question, "Would you like to be informed of special offers?" with the tick, then this tick will automatically be ticked. The unsubscribe email is a very important tick. This is where you would mark a customer that does not wish to receive any more emails from you. According to the POPI Act, you have to respect customers' wish if they no longer want to receive your emails, otherwise you may be liable for prosecution. Therefore it is also important that your email footer contain an unsubscribe clause. We will talk more about that in the section on email. Filter selection. If you have not yet watched the training video, setting up you as the user, then we suggest you do that first, before continuing. Area. If you want to assign each customer to the area where they live or where you would deliver their purchases, you do it here. So let us say Elizabeth Atkinson live in Johannesburg North. If we now want to list everyone in Johannesburg North, we see Elizabeth listed here, among others. To reset all filters to your default, you can simply click on Reset All Searches. Group. Customers can be added to groups as set up under your user profile. Let us say Elizabeth Atkinson is a member at Randburg Tennis Club. And let us say, Natalie DuPont is also a member at the Randburg Tennis Club. If we now have an open day at the tennis club, and want to send an invitation to members of the club only, we can list only them. We see that our 2 members assigned to the said group are now listed. Resource. Resource will be used when you work as part of a team and you may want to assign a resource to specific customers, hence the person on your staff to look after a specific customer. We will look at this in a later lesson on resources, but in essence it works exactly the same as the previous 2 filters. Source. Source is once again what you filled in under customer for your company and is the place or how you met or found a customer. For example, you may have met Letitia Carr at a golf day. You can now list all the customers that you met at the golf day. Categories and preferences. Up to now, you had only one choice of each selection for a customer. For example, a customer can reside only in one place. Categories and preferences, however, are the filters where a customer can belong to more than one category or preference. For example, a customer can be a golf player, and a tennis player, and a dog lover. Or in the case of preference, we usually mean product preference. For example, if you sell health and skin products, a customer may have a dry skin, and also be a herbal tea customer, etc. Birthday. Here you can set a customer's birth date. Note that you only enter the day and the month, not the year. Some customers may feel that is private. From this information, you can list customers whose birthday it is today, or this month. For example, you may want to send out an email at the beginning of the month to all customers whose birthday it is this month and offer a discount to them for their birthday. This is selected from the Date Minder drop-down menu. Make dormant. This permanently archives customers you no longer wish to list and is more permanent than no longer active. That concludes our session on customer setup. Thank you for watching. Please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more exciting videos about DADIE. See you in the next video.